So it completely seems like WWE has answered my prayers. Night 2 was completely, in my opinion, a smash hit comparatively to Night 1 as well. I think we got one of the best WrestleMania main events, not of all time, but definitely one of the greats out of this main event right here between Punk and Reigns. Every match on average here in Night 2 seemed to, besides the opener, get the time it deserved, and the crazy spots and theatric WrestleMania fare we're kind of used to, and I felt like Night 2 completely saved this WrestleMania. So to just get right into it, we had this first match with Oba, Femi, and Brock Lesnar, and thank God for the ending of this match, or thank God for, I guess, the outcome. We all expected kind of, I think, or at least we're hoping for Oba to come in here and just kind of win this, but with kind of how WWE books Lesnar, they could have done it best out of 3 and had Brock kind of cheat to get the win here and further the storyline. We got completely not that. We got basically kind of a really quick, not necessarily squash, but like just super quick finisher spam type of match where Brock was trying to throw everything at Oba, and Oba withstood it and essentially gave him a choke slam and fall from grace that looked super, super sick. 1, 2, 3. The most unexpected thing, honestly, though, to happen here is Brock Lesnar essentially retiring from in-ring competition during this match. After the match, with Oba kind of reacting to the win and selling it in a super awesome way with this look on his face. kind of almost in disbelief. You have him exit the ring, and then we have kind of Lesnar here starting to take off his gloves and his boots and start to break down crying, and noticing this and the signification, or the significance of this, the fans start to chant "Thank you, Lesnar." I'm not the biggest fan of him personally, but he did bring a lot to the industry. I do appreciate his contributions to combat sports and the whole thing, kind of being one of the biggest draws, helping UFC kind of really become extremely prevalent in the 2010s, not being a sole factor, but a really big factor in being a crossover star. But just in general, I think it was a crazy way to start off Mania. Oba is the next big thing. He is on top, and it's a super awesome kind of way to start. I did think that the match could have been a bit more competitive and more compelling, I think, but both guys kind of did a really good job for selling for each other and making the 4 minutes that this match was brief, fun, and memorable. And man, this is Oba is going to be launched in the stratosphere. I mean, obviously this win over Brock is huge, but not only that, but the fans are gravitating towards him and completely accept this new kind of regime change in terms of Oba being the top kind of monster right now in the WWE. The second match I want to say we had here was the ladder match, which was my match probably of the weekend. I have 3 matches that I think were really exceptional kind of over this weekend that I think could kind of battle for it, but the ladder match was definitely one of the first. Man, this match was so fun and reminiscent of the great ladder matches of years past, even including in WrestleMania. But the spots from all these guys involved, Javon, Rusev, JD, Penta, Ray, it's just the creativity from these guys was just so off the chart. Dragon Lee too, an MVP of this match, soaring everywhere. Javon with the cutter to Rusev, the freaking what do you call it, Mexican destroyer on the ladder that Penta gave to JD that looked so gnarly. It was like a perfect Canadian destroyer too on that ladder. So many great moments in that match. Penta ends up coming up with the win, but it just felt like a perfect ladder match for Mania, and it had that caliber. There's a lot of crazy spots in here that were super awesome. The West Coast pop out of nowhere that put Rusev through the ladder was super awesome. So many great moments in this match and great athleticism, crazy catch Mexican destroyers, crazy catch cutters, super kicks, just a lot of awesomeness between all these guys here. Super proud of them. I think they did a lot of great work and really kept the tone and made Night 2 actually really kick into high gear. That ladder match really, to me, because the Oba win was great, but like the ladder match to me proved they really want these matches to stick out and be amazing this time. It's not necessarily about getting to the finishes or getting to the story beats. It's about shock and awe and these matches being WrestleMania worthy. That trend kind of continues with our third match on the card that we had for Mania Night 2, which was the WWE United States Championship, which I think could have been kind of stronger, just with the 2 that we got and kind of longer. This kind of was reminiscent of kind of Night 1 in terms of super brief, brief. We had some cool kind of false finish spots, but ultimately we kind of got really quick to our finish. But we did have Trick's kind of come up here with Yachty here kind of being his hype man, and it is Trick's WrestleMania moment here. I mean, Zayn, you know, with his kind of current position within the WWE, kind of does play the perfect heel right here to Trick's kind of come up, you know, so this was kind of Trick's moment. He does end up winning here with a bunch of shenanigans that kind of happens, but the crowd kind of erupts for it. They were sitting here waiting for his entrance. He came out in this extremely long gown, which is probably the biggest like piece of clothing I think anyone's probably worn at WrestleMania, so that was super fun. And he kind of came out with Yachty doing the signature. I don't know if it was Coachella or wherever he was at in that festival, but did that meme walk up that he had before, which I thought was pretty dope. Nice little touch for Mania. But the match itself was kind of underwhelming. They both did really well. The crowd was receptive, but once again it was super kind of brief and felt like a SmackDown level match that was being used here to kind of just get through to get Trick his W, which he does have, gets to celebrate with his family. That was super satisfying to see, but overall kind of a disappointing match. But I think beyond the match itself, the feelings and the idea of Trick's come up was kind of what was more prevalent. So super happy with the result of that. Trick has his first Mania in the books, and he's a superstar and he's United States champion. And then the next match, which I thought was kind of blew my expectations a little bit, and once again we actually got a surprise from the night one before, where the match got turned into a street fight to make it a lot more interesting. We had the Demon Finn Balor against Dominic Mysterio, both of them having super awesome matches or entrances. The Demon kind of coming back with a super awesome entrance and super cool face paint and everything. Was super worth the return. And you know, Dom was selling the Demon extremely well. I forget the presence of the Demon is super fun, and the way kind of Finn wrestles as that character is extremely interesting, and I think can take Finn to another height essentially if they really kind of take this time to book the Demon properly. And I think this match kind of is a great exemplification of that. Dom was super close, threw everything he could at Dominic or at Finn, but Finn is at a level right now that even CM Punk acknowledged you can't really touch. And now that he has the Demon kind of out, I kind of think the right man won here, and the match was done. That, you know, you can give all the credit to Dominic in the world right now. He tried it on his own and he beat the crap out of the Demon, but the Demon kept coming back, and you know, it was a freak of nature. So I kind of love the story that was told here. A lot of crazy spots, and there was a 619 through a chair and West Coast pop that a Demon kicks out of. The double foot stomp through the table was amazing and super gnarly. So just overall, I think a really fun match that actually kind of blew my expectations between the two of them. That seems to not be over, as JD and Finn seem to be facing off on Raw as well. So super fun match, and I'm looking forward to more of the Demon and seeing what the Judgment Day kind of rivalry between them and Finn is going to be like. In our penultimate match, we had the WWE Women's Championship, another match that I think could have gotten a little bit more time, but actually I think was a lot better than the Stephanie Liv kind of World Championship match we had the night before. We got to see a lot of cool. I think Jade as a heel has completely found her stride in terms of working. She felt extremely comfortable kind of slowing the pace down a lot of the times, kind of taking the sails out of the fans of Rhea, and really basking in the boos, and her moves and everything just looks super crisp and strong. You know, I think she wrestled a really great match against Rhea, and it kind of shows how her experience and her charisma and swagger is really developing her into a prime heel, I think, championship wrestler. And this match was no different. Do I think this match was on the level of a lot of Rhea's other WrestleMania classics? No, but I do think this was serviceable and really fun, a really fun match in addition to her WrestleMania kind of victories and legacy. The One Wing Angel that Jade Cargill hit it on Rhea Ripley popped the hell out of me. That was super sick. And her, like I said, Jade was extremely impressive right here, and you know, Rhea kind of, you know, to the disadvantage of Jade having B-Fab and Michin, kind of used all that with Io coming out as well as a surprise run-in, and was able to come up with the victory over Jade, which to me kind of keeps both of them strong, because, you know, instead of having them have a straight one-on-one match, it was a lot of essentially shenanigans that eventually boiled the match down to who can have that opportunity to kind of slip in the win, which I kind of think protects both and can kind of further the feud if Jade wants to come back from this loss and try to avenge what happened here. Super good match. Like I said, it could have been longer, kind of a little bit of night one syndrome here, but I think the result and what they did with it was kind of perfect with the time they were given. So super fun match. Rhea is our new WWE Women's Champion, and we'll see kind of what happens with that moving forward. I guess she'll be on SmackDown. And then we have our main event, which, like I said, this is probably one of the better main events of WrestleMania history, that's for sure. You know, Punk and Reigns here, the build has been phenomenal. They both have made this extremely personal and extremely compelling, and the match itself kind of exemplified that perfectly. No crazy run-ins, just a pure world title match. Like, I felt very, like, if you're a pro wrestling fan, this felt very perfect pro wrestling. The epitome of two at the best of their game, trying to prove that they're the alpha, right, in the biggest money match at the end of the year for the biggest prize on the line. Like, it felt like the epitome of what wrestling is about. And both Punk and Reigns, with how much disdain they have of each other, the way they would jab at each other, the exhaustion, the fact that Punk decided to blade here, you know, and the fact that the ref's discretion kind of left a lot of crazy spots to happen, resulted in an extremely entertaining and poignant match, you know, essentially breaking down, and due to the comments that essentially have been kind of permeating this whole feud of maybe Punk be slowing down as he gets older compared to Roman's prime, is kind of the whole theme of this match, that eventually does see Punk kind of losing here, as despite maybe needing that last gear that could have had him to win here with that last GTS, he wasn't able to pull that out, and Reigns was able to essentially stay alive in that ninth inning and deliver 2 spears to Punk to kind of put it all away. The false finishes here were awesome. I know a lot of people didn't like the Punk kind of low blow that was done there, but I thought it was really cool, and despite it not making the most sense, I thought the idea of it in isolation was pretty fun, and I think that's kind of the point of it was in there. But like I said, and overall the match was magic. I think both of these guys, this is the first kind of one-on-one match we've had with them. I guess it's these 2 iterations of these characters. Super fun. I don't think it's the end of it either. We can probably revisit this at a big 4, you know what I mean? Maybe get even Rollins involved again. But I thought it was a super awesome WrestleMania main event. Way better than night one's main event as well too. Just a straight banger of a match. But yeah, super great. Night 1 was excellent, or night 2 was excellent, man. They seem to get the memo that night 1 was kind of just abysmal, and that they need to really step up, and night 2 kind of completely answered that, and I think flipped everyone's mood, and a lot of people are now kind of excited going into Raw, SmackDown, and the year and Backlash to what's going to be happening, due to how I thought night 2 did an excellent job of propelling the future, giving us compelling WrestleMania matches and moments, and, you know, sending the fans home happy and satisfied with a really good, fun wrestling show with a decent, more amount of wrestling. Do I think some matches should have gotten a little bit more time? Yes. Do I think this was the greatest night 2 ever? No, definitely not, but it was extremely enjoyable and a lot better than night 1, and practically saved the Mania weekend. So super satisfying. I'm glad that there was at least, you know, a really solid show out of a bunch of this stuff, especially when the build for a lot of the matches here was kind of annoying. And the narrative, especially for WWE this year, is that, you know, there's been a big enshittification of it, but at least we're still getting some decent shows here and there, and I'm hoping that the trend kind of continues moving into this Raw, which was pretty decent, which I'll get into. Night 2 was awesome. I gave night 1 a 4, kind of 5 out of 10. So if I were to give night 2 a rating, I'd give it a definite solid 7 out of 10, maybe 8 if I think maybe Jade and Rhea got a lot of time to really just have an actual banger. I think we would have gotten an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in a really stellar show. But beyond that, you know, the results were good, a lot of solid matches and some really standout ones. Gives me a solid 7 out of 10 show. Super fun, really great show. And let me know what you guys kind of thought about night 2, and if you guys are excited for Raw and SmackDown this coming week. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.